Only way that Donald Trump goes to jail, guaranteed. And the bombshell I got, I'm going to tell you 3 ways, 3 scenarios. And the bombshell I've got for you is, hey, can he go to jail over the election through fraud? We're going to discuss that the one time here very carefully. And then I got another bombshell to drop on you on the method in which it's going to happen that's going to excite you a whole lot. Pay attention to everything. Number 1, let's go right into it. Number 1 thing that he can go to jail over is Epstein. Now, here's the interesting way this would happen. He's in trouble already. Whether they redact the files or not or release, doesn't even matter anymore. Because guess what? There's people who got those files. So what we're looking at right now is a scenario where if he doesn't release the files, people got the files, both on the left and right. And you know how we like to leak things. It's going to be leaky in a minute. So he's got no choice but to put it out there. But if he tries to redact and tries anything, all hell comes to him. Where does the jail part come in? Well, here's the thing. Whatever's in those files is enough to freak him out and people to literally break the law and cover it up, a.k.a. Pam Bondi, DOJ, and Kash Patel, FBI. So this is enough to absolutely turn against him 1,000% and get him in some jail time because he's done some stuff with minors and people have already reported seeing it. And there were girls, victims who actually seen it. Okay? So here's the interesting part about that. If he's out the door in a matter of months, he's gone, out the door in a matter of months, all right? He's open to the public. That means not only the civil suits, and right now as president under his administration, there's almost 700 cases out there. And the Supreme Court can only take 1% of them. The rest of them, hundreds of them, are at the lower courts, and they've been losing by 70% for the last 43 weeks, all right? Be clear, he can't take everything up to the Supreme Court. But the thing you need to pay attention to in this number 1 is that if he's kicked out as president, no more immunity. No more immunity. Do you know what that means? That means that not only the civil court, people in civil cases come after him, but that means also the criminal cases come after him. And I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, Darren. Pam Bondi won't do anything. It has nothing to do with Pam Bondi. It has everything to do with the state of New York. You think he's been messing with minors in New York? Yeah, good chance, right? If he's been doing that, guess what? The Empire State Strikes Back with Letitia James coming for that ass. It is on, motherfucker. It is on. And they could get him. They could get him good because there's nothing that JD can do. Most people don't know the history, operation, laws of our government to understand that a president cannot block a state, conviction or a state court hearing. They have no, in other words, he can't be pardoned. He cannot be pardoned through a state conviction. No president can. So they could get him really good that way. But it gets worse. You see, once he's on the streets, one of the other things that's going to open up is the grifting. This is number 2 scenario. The grifting is going to eat him alive. The grifting he has done, I'm talking about of epic proportions. He has gotten billions of dollars in that meme coin. And before you say, well, the meme coin price went down. No, he still got the money. When the meme coin price went up, they did loans of 80 to 90% against the meme coin. Against the coin. Whatever they can get the loan money out of is free because their cash flow is paying for it. This is an old strategy that's been around for years where these people say they have some property that's worth $1 million. They loan 80 to 90% out. They loan out the property and either reinvest the money or live off the money or a combination of that. And then they have the property itself because it's not like a house, it's a investment property. The investment property is paying the loan. That's why the loan people gave him the loan, because the investment property is paying the loan. The reason he got in trouble in New York and became the felon is because he was hyping up the appraisals of his properties and charming the banks. He found a brilliant way to do that. He learned from his father, charmed the banks, was able to get a higher loan than the actual value of the property, and they caught his ass and went after him. So he's in trouble when he gets out on these streets. And let's say through Epstein, not only Epstein is going to be an issue, but him grifting this money because all of the meme money is on the blockchain. You may not know what that means. Let me break it down to you like this. It's a digital open ledger that cannot be hidden. That was the whole idea about Bitcoin. It was designed not to be hidden. The crypto part is the way in which the passwords are being, cryptic, with, but not the money. The money is an open digital blockchain. So, in other words, all the scamming and thieving he's been doing, somebody's falling. And it definitely could be him. That is one of the biggest things. But let me keep you moving, because I got a bombshell for you that's going to blow your mind. The third thing that could get him, and there's a lot of conversation that keeps always hitting me every day since last November, was, can this guy go under for stealing the you-know-what? Well, there's going to be some challenges to that. Because one, you got to have proof. The only way they're going to get proof is if they get Doge to get Elon, and Elon and Doge give up Trump. Now, that could happen. That could happen. And honestly, I think that's one of the ways they're going to go after Doge and Elon. I believe, and I've said this before, that 70% of his cabinet is going to jail. And the reason it's only 70% is because the other 30% is going to go state's evidence and turn their asses in. And the Doge boys are going to cave. And then they're going to get Elon. The thing you should pay attention with the Doge boys is how many of them stay alive. They already dismantled Doge, right? All those satellites already crumbled. Notice their satellites been crashing left and right for last year. That's all I'm going to go with that, because remember, YouTube capitulates $24 million they gave to Trump, okay? That's why I ended up creating private groups and stuff. I don't even mess around with here. But I will say this. Is there a chance to get them? Yeah, Doge and Elon could be that, if they so wish and if they're caught, because Elon may end up running. He got enough money to hide forever. Ain't nobody going to catch him. They got to catch him up. So this is going to take some time for that. But the first two scenarios with the grifting and Epstein is serious. It's real. They're going to catch him with them little girls. But here's the bombshell I have to break down to you. I got to give you the whole backstory of this and tell you this, because you ask yourself, well, how are they going to find him with all this stuff if Pam Bondi's running everything, right? That's the number one thing. People come to me beyond the election. They say, oh, he's running everything. He's getting away with everything. Well, no, he's not getting away with it. He's getting a weight with it, a weight for it. In other words, it took years to get Nixon. It wasn't an overnight process. It took years to get Nixon. And when they finally got Nixon, they got him good. Here's the thing. There are people doing investigations. 9 different types of investigations. And one of which is into everything I just said, from Epstein to grifting to deportations. These legal deportations, as well as the breaking in Doge and Elon breaking into those departments, could turn state's evidence left and right. And that state's evidence will point to the grifting, and the grifting will also point to other things that he's been doing as far as with the Russians and so on. It's going to point to so many things. It's going to open up. But the question becomes, is who's going to get him? Well, I said on Epstein is going to be the states. And, New York State could get him. Who's going to get him on the grifting? And this is where the bombshell stuff comes down. See, the grifting could be over time. There's 3 options to get him on the grifting. Option number 1, he's out in the streets with Epstein. He's no longer president. They can come after him really harder than they ever could. But who's they? Who's they? That's where the whole bombshell comes into. Because I'm going to tell you something that no one else in this freaking country or otherwise has talked about. I'm going to talk about not only the way they investigate him, but the way who investigate him and how they're going to do it. So let's go. First of all, in order to get this guy, you got to get evidence, especially as it relates to the grifting. I already said it's an open blockchain, so it's not that hard. But Darren, Pam Bondi is not going to let that happen. Fuck Pam Bondi. Let me break it down to you like this. There are federal judges. If you look at the last 43 weeks, you might not know this, but there have been federal judges in lower courts who have been absolutely destroying Trump. Like I said, he's lost about 70%, and he can't take everything up to the Supreme Court. There's only 9 of them. That's why they didn't take on the gay marriage. So now he's going to be stuck here in the federal courts. Now, What specifically about federal courts could relate to grifting? Federal judges can hold this man in contempt and can hold this man to a tune of this this grifting. They can hold him. They can get him. No, they can get him. They can put him in court and have him start talking, or have some people start talking about what is going on with this illegality. The other, and can't nobody stop him. Pam Bondi ain't shit. She can't tell him what to do. She can't tell federal courts what to do. That's the judicial branch. And the Supreme Court can't tell the lower courts what to do. They don't have that kind of power over who they should be justifiably doing that. The other scenario that can happen is the states. I already told you the states could get him through Epstein, through New York, right? Or whatever state he's doing wrong things in, right? But here's the interesting part about this that most people don't talk about. The states altogether can sue Donald Trump for this grifting and taking the taxpayer dollars out of their states. They can go for it. And right now, we are going into 2026, we got 27 states, the majority of the union on our side. Believe it, it's real, it's happening. Plus DC, it's happening. It's happening. Plus Puerto Rico and some of these other states. It's happening. It's happening. They can get them and get him in the corner and vote together and put him in and just point out the fact that he's breaking these laws as the president of the United States, which is absolutely 1,000% illegal. So there's the feds, there's the states, okay? Those are the first two. The long shot, I don't even call it long shot, the long term, meaning this would be a longer term. These first two could be closer to getting hit. And I know you want the close win, but I've been telling people all this year, we want the long win, because the long win assures that we do win, okay? It's not about the short game, because he plays the short game. He's masterful at it. That's why he's been able to avoid jail so far. But what guarantees him in jail, here's the bombshell, guarantees him in jail is the long game. What's the long game? Well, here's the thing. Congress is already is already turning on him. Mike Johnson is not going to be speaker possibly in the next 6 months before the midterms, okay? So the majority is going over to the Democrats. The Democrats can open up a can of whip ass for real on all of the administration, okay? So they can start coming for him on a variety of things, especially the low-hanging fruit, which is the grifting. But what are they going to do? How are they going to find it? How are they going to prove it? Here's where the brilliant bombshell comes through. Do you know that this man, this year, Donald Trump, has fired thousands of federal investigators? Why does that matter? Because, I don't know. Because those are the people who can find him. I'm not talking about Jack Smith. Fuck Jack Smith. If he finds something, great. But Jack Smith is nothing. He's nothing. He's nothing compared to the massive amount of thousands of intelligence officers from the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, not to mention the intelligence community overall internationally can't stand this guy. They would gladly contribute any information to remove him and put him in jail. Now you say, how does this work? Let's talk about this. It's not going to be Jack Smith. It's not going to be Letitia James. It's not going to be that. It's going to be somebody. Listen to me. I'm the only person that'll ever tell you this. It's going to be somebody out of Omaha, out of Poughkeepsie, somebody out of Nutbush, Tennessee, out of nowhere, who's a federal investigator, who's either retired and pissed and decided to look into it. Look up the movie by Tom Hanks, Catch Me As You Can. Remember, he played the investigator. Leonardo DiCaprio was the scam artist. But they didn't like Tom. Nobody liked Tom. Tom was unpopular with the feds. He was a nobody who found somebody. Remember what I said? A nobody that found somebody. It's going to be somebody in some little nothing town, some little nothing department, somebody nobody knew. Let me explain something to you. I live here in Chicago. I'm downtown Chicago. Grew up South Side. You know who the most infamous South Sider is? The most infamous person out of Chicago? Al Capone, right? Who got Al Capone? It wasn't the Untouchables. But he got in trouble for IRS. They caught the ledger book. There was a group of 6 businessmen called the Secret Six, one of which was the founder of Woolworths. There was some other people there too. And they went to the president and said, President, we need help. This violence and everything over liquor is crazy. President sent a forensic accountant. That's what got him, right? Forensic accountant. Where the money reside, where the money reside. Nobody to this day know that man's name. His first name is Frank. I forget the last name, but he's not famous. He's a nobody. You get where I'm going with this? It's going to be a nobody investigator who's looking into this shit right now. Either they're retired, either they took the buyout, either they're working still within the departments and watching and taking notes and being very careful, keeping their head low, keeping off radar. Or here's option 4. There's been talk about, and I've been talking about this for the last 11 months, the only person been talking about it. There's been talk about another group of Secret Six or whatever they are. It might be more than 6, but wealthy people financing some of these investigators who are in the intelligence community away from the Trump administration, who still has relationships within the departments to find out all the real shit of what this man's doing and track it down. And they're paying for it. Somebody like Reid Hoffman could do that, the founder of LinkedIn. Somebody like Mark Cuban could do that. You know, Bill Gates could get them. You know, there's a whole bunch of them who could get them. Because there's 900 billionaires in America. A lot of people. And a lot of them don't like them, even though they gave money to them. There are 22 million millionaires. A lot of them don't like Trump, even though they gave donation money. Not because of now, but they didn't like him. They just covering their bets so they don't have to catch hell. You know, Kamala Harris talks about the capitulation. She's surprised. I don't know why. Well, she's a public worker. She don't know the game. See, I worked in entertainment, in music, and I also worked. I worked running my own business for 20 years. I already know the game. They're going to leverage it to keep him off of them and keep their heads low. But in the meanwhile, they could be financing his actual demise with real CIA, FBI, former people who worked in those areas who know how to find shit and can present it. Now you say, I know where you're going. Well, Darren, who are they going to present it to? Because if it's not the state, if it's not the federal government, though they could present that to them too, what's the long game? I talked earlier about the long game. The long game is this. Let's wait until we get these Democrats in Congress. We're going to have a Democratic president. I believe it's going to be Kamala Harris. I really do still. But the whole idea is let's wait until we get to that. Let's wait until that momentum comes in. Because you know what? When that comes in, we're going to get his ass. Because they're going to bring, let's say, for instance, Kamala. Everybody thinking Gavin Newsom wouldn't go long term with Gavin Newsom. The most qualified and the most tested is her. She's got the clearance for everything. And she knows how the country works up and down. She's worked behind every level of government, okay? Every branch of government. And she's got the experience he doesn't. And people mad. Kamala Harris voters are mad, including me, about this bullshit election. So we coming back. But let's say what happens. She comes in. She's going to get an attorney general. It might be a nobody we hadn't heard of before. Or it could be Letitia James. And a lot of people mention, Jasmine Crockett. The whole idea is she can get a litigator to come for that ass. It can come and tear it down. Now, there's some white men who have this theory in the creative circles that I've had actually hated on and totally broke them down piece by piece when they said this misogynist, racist shit. They come in and they said, well, Gavin could become president, and maybe the plan is to make Kamala the attorney general. And the reason that's some racist undertone shit is because he ain't the most qualified, she is, and because she's a woman, you're assuming she can't win, and therefore you're trying to say that only the white man could win, so you should serve up under the white man. Enough of this shit. 400 years, fuck you forever. Point is, she could be president better than him unless she don't want to be, which I think she really does. They can get that administration and the Congress to come in and take this boy down over this grifting. If he ain't already in jail over Epstein. They could get his ass. It is possible, it is real, and it could be the guaranteed way he goes to jail. Through Epstein, through grifting. I know a lot of you want him to go to jail over Russian collusion and over the you-know-what being stolen. But these two are the guaranteed ways that he's on his way. Watch my next video.